Thank you. Alrighty, so let's see. We have Twitch going, we have YouTube going, we have Discord going. Hi, Gonzo. And all of you wonderful people here on TikTok. Welcome in. Technical difficulties are racking my brain, so yeah, my apologies for being late again. I will start bringing people up for donations as soon as there are more people in here. Keep tapping the screen, keep sharing the live out, keep doing the things that keep us going. Yee. So we are on chapter 15 of How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. And as mentioned before, Ibram Kendi, an American writer, absolutely brilliant, revolutionary thinker. We have been reading this book since, I would say, we've been reading it for about 8 weeks. Yeah, 8 weeks. And we are on chapter 15. And for those of you who want to follow, that is page 193 of the book. The chapter is on sexuality. Queer racism is a powerful collection of racist policies that lead to inequity between race sexualities and are substantiated by racist ideas about race sexualities. Queer anti-racism is a powerful collection of anti-racist policies that lead to equity between race sexualities and are substantiated by anti-racist ideas about race sexualities. Meg, I've been doing these readings on Discord and TikTok for the past, I would say, 4 years? Yeah. Racist and homophobic power distinguishes race sexuality, racial or sexuality groups at the intersection of race and sexuality. Homosexuals are sexuality. Latine people are race. Latine homosexuals are a race sexuality. A homophobic policy produces inequities between heterosexuals and homosexuals. A racist policy produces inequities between racial groups. Queer racism produces inequities between race sexualities. It produces a situation where 32% of children being raised by black male same-sex couples live in poverty, compared to 14% of children being raised by white male same-sex couples, 13% of children raised by black heterosexuals, and 7% of children raised by white heterosexuals. For children being raised by female same-sex couple who live in poverty, the racial disparity is nearly as wide. These children of black queer couples are more likely to live in poverty because their parents are more likely to than black heterosexual and white queer couples to be poor. Homophobia cannot be separated from racism. They've intersected for ages. British physician Havelock Ellis is known for popularizing the term homosexual. In his first medical treatise on homosexuality, Studies of the Psychology of Sex in 1897, he wrote about the question of sex, whether the racial questions that rest on it. He regarded homosexuality as a congenital physiological abnormality, just as he regarded criminality. Ellis adored the father of criminology, Italian physician Cesare Lombroso, who claimed criminals are born, not bred, and that people of color are naturally criminals. In 1890, Ellis published a popular summary of Lombroso's writings. Ellis spent many years defending against the criminalization of white homosexuality. Following racist scholars, He used comparative anatomy of women's bodies to evidence the biological differences between sexualities. As regards the sexual organs, seems possible, Ellis wrote, to speak more definitively of inverted women than of inverted men. Inverted. Ugh. Ugh. At the time, racist physicians were contrasting the bound-together clitoris of Aryan American women that goes with higher civilization and the free clitoris in... I can't even say this word without choking on my coffee. Negress. That goes with highly domesticated animals. Why are white people? Why are white people? Homophobic physicians were supposing that inverted lesbians will, in practicality, in every instance, disclose an abnormally prominent clitoris, wrote New York City prison doctor Perry M. Lichtenstein. Racist ideas suggesting black people are more hypersexual than white people, and homophobic ideas suggesting that queer people are more hypersexual than heterosexuals intersect to produce the queer racism of the most hypersexual race sexuality, the black queer. Their imagined biological stamp, the abnormally prominent clitoris, which is particularly so in colored women, Lichtenstein added. I'm just... Weka was my best friend at Temple. We were both brown-skinned with locks and hailed from prideful HBCUs. I usually befriended laid-back and calm people like him. He usually befriended daring and silly people like me. Sounds like me and my bestie. We were both curious by nature, but Wekia was an inquisitive person, as I had ever met. He wanted to know everything, and damn near did. The only thing he seemed to love as much as a good idea was a good laugh. A few years older than me, it didn't take long for me to look up to him intellectually in the way I looked up to Kayla and Yaba. We arrived at Temple in the same cohort. Wekia, myself, and another student, Raina. We banded together. On the rare days when Raina and I ate lunch together without Wekia, the two of us sat outside near campus, probably delighting in the warm arrival of spring, probably in 2006. We both had food before us. First gossip and small talk, and then out of nowhere, "You know Wekia's gay, right?" She barely looked up at me as she said it. Her eyes focused as she gobbled food. "No, I didn't know that," I said, my voice breaking. "Well, it's not a big deal. He didn't tell you, right?" "Right." I looked away. Cars honked. People strolled by. An ambulance was coming. For me? I glanced back at her, her chin tucked, eating, wondering why she'd told me this. I did not see a friendly face of concern as I twitched in my chair. I saw blankness, if not a face of satisfaction. Was she trying to break up my friendship with Wekia? None of us had anything much to say after that. Mission accomplished on her part. Wekia's homosexuality made sense, as I thought about it. He never spoken about dating women. When I asked, he deflected. I chalked it up to his extreme privacy. He would describe women as pretty or not so pretty, but never in a sexual manner, which I chalked up to his conservatism. He was not so conservative after all. I thought about black gay men running around having unprotected sex all the time, but Wekia did not seem sex-crazed or reckless. I thought about this hypersexuality and recklessness causing so many black gay men to contract HIV. I thought wrong. Black men who are gay are less likely to have condomless sex than white gay men. They are less likely to use drugs like poppers or crystal meth during sex, which heighten the risk of HIV infections. I had been around gay black men before, in Faces, a modeling troupe I joined at FAMU. But the gay black men in the troupe, or better yet, the ones I thought were gay, had what I thought of as a feminine streak to them. The way they moved, makeup, the way they struggled to dap me up. They pinged my gaydar. Everything about my modeling troupe pinged the gaydar of my friends. My modeling ended up being the only things that my friend joked on more than my orange eyes. But they thought my orange eyes were gay too. I assumed black gay men performed femininity. I did not know that some gay men, like Wekia, perform masculinity and actually prefer gay men who perform femininity as partners. I did not know when feminists like Kayla and Yaba were teaching me about gender being an authentic performance, and the only ways men and women traditionally act are not tied to biology, that men can authentically perform femininity as effectively as women can authentically perform masculinity. Authentically, meaning they are not acting, as the transphobic ideas assumed. They are being who they are, defying society's gender conventions. I learned this once and for all through my other close friends at Temple, with a butch black lesbian from Texas. I talked about women with Monica in the way I could not with Wekia. We were drawn to the same woman, of course. When we got joking and relating to our romantic experiences, my conversations with Monica did not sound too different from my conversations with my heterosexual friends at FAMU. My mind turned to introspection. Why had Wekia not told me? Why didn't he feel comfortable sharing his sexuality with me? Maybe he'd sensed my homophobia. In fact, he probably heard it in my rhetoric. He listened intently. He seemed never to forget anything. In subsequent years, Wekia provided himself in showing off his gaydar, pointing out to me closeted or down-low people at Temple, but he was equally adept at identifying homophobia and taking the necessary precautions. He must have been protecting himself and our early friendship from my homophobia. Now I had a choice: my homophobia or my best friend. I could not have both for long. I chose my best friend, and the beginning of our long friendship. I chose the beginning of the rest of my lifelong striving against homophobia, of my upbringing, a lifelong striving to be an anti-racist. A queer anti-racist. Hi. Queer anti-racism is equating all the race sexualities, striving to eliminate the inequities between them. We cannot be anti-racist if we are homophobic or transphobic. We must continue to affirm that all Black Lives Matter, as the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Opal Tometi, I cannot pronounce her name, Tometi once said, all Black lives include poor transgender Black women, perhaps the most violated and oppressed of all Black intersectional groups. The average U.S. life expectancy of a transgender woman of color is 35 years. $35. So yeah, I do have a gay agenda. It's called a normal fucking life expectancy. Hi, Moby. Yes, say. You heard correctly. The racial violence they face, the transphobia, as they seek to live life freely, is unfathomable. I started learning about their freedom fight from the personal stories of transgender activist Janet Mock. But I opened up to their fight on that day. I opened up to saving my friendship with Wekia. I am a cisgendered black heterosexual man. Cisgender meaning my gender identity corresponds to my birth sex, in contrast to transgender people, whose gender identity does not correlate to their birth sex. To be queer anti-racist is to understand the privileges of my cisgenderness, of my masculinity, of my heterosexuality, and of their intersections. To be queer anti-racist is to serve as an ally to transgender people, to intersex people, to women, to gender non-conformic queer people, to their intersections, meaning listening, learning, and being led by the equalizing ideas. Hello, love. I do too. By their equalizing policy campaigns, by their power struggle for equal opportunity. To be queer anti-racist is to see that policies protecting black transgender women are as critically important as policies protecting the political ascendancy of queer white men. To be queer anti-racist is to see the new wave of both religious freedom laws and voter ID laws in Republican states as taking away the rights of queer people. To be queer and anti-racist is to see homophobia, racism, and queer racism, not the queer person, not the queer space, as the problem, not them as abnormal, as unnatural. The fact that I let my 35th birthday go without so much as any real celebration as such. What year was that? Lovey, what year did I turn 35?
6 years ago. 2019.
What did I do for my birthday in 2019? Oh, I went for sushi.
You went where?
I went for sushi. It rained. Yeah, that was all I did. That is an entire life for some queer people. That is their entire life. They seem to always be there, Yaba and Kayla, sitting around one of those tables near the entrance of Gladfelter Hall, sometimes with fellow doctoral students Danielle and Sekhmet. I usually caught these women on a smoke break or lunch break or dinner break, usually from working together in the computer lab. They were finishing their doctorate in African American studies, nearing the end of a journey I was just beginning at Temple. Whenever Kayla and Yaba was seated there, whenever they were anywhere, their presence was unmistakable, memorable, and unsettling and inspiring. I could go to war with them at my side. I learned from them that I am not a defender of black people if I'm not sharply defending black women, if I'm not sharply defending queer black people. The two of them exerted their influence on our department's events. When our department brought speakers for a public event, they came. When graduate students shared their research, they came. When there was an out-of-town Black Studies conference, they came. And when they came, let's just say that they ensured that when patriarchal ideas arose, when homophobic ideas arose, they were put out there. When racist ideas came and intersected, they would come for those ideas like piranhas coming for their daily meal. I watched, stunned, in awe of their intellectual attacks. I call them attacks, but in truth, they were defenses. Defending black womanhood and the humanity of queer black folk. They were respectful and measured, if the victimizer was respectful and measured with them, but I call them attacks because I felt personally attacked. They were attacking my gender racism about black women, my queer racism about queer black people, my gender and queer racism about queer black women. I never wanted to be their prey. I binge read every author they mentioned in their public exchanges and in their private exchanges with me. I gobbled up Audre Lorde, E. Patrick Johnson, Bell Hooks, Joan Morgan, Dwight McBride, Patricia Hill Collins. I fucking love Patricia Hill Collins. Everybody read Patricia Hill Collins. And Kimberly Crenshaw, like my life depended on it. My life did depend on it. But I wanted to overcome my gender racism, my queer racism, but I had to be willing to do it for black women and queer black people that I had been doing for black men and black heterosexuals, which meant first learning more and then defending them like my heroes had. They were the darkness that scared me. I wanted to run away whenever I came off the elevator, turned the corner and spotted Yaba and Kayla whenever I approached the building and they were there, their warmly tossed smiles and greetings as I walked by, not so fast enough, forcing me to awkwardly toss back. Sometimes they stopped me in small talk. Over time, they let me join them in long talk, unnerving me the most. It's best to challenge ourselves by dragging ourselves before people who intimidate us with their brilliance and constructive criticism. Hiya. I will let you up in a few minutes. I didn't think about that, and I wanted to run away. They didn't let me run away, and I'm grateful now because of it. These women were everything that they were not supposed to be, in my patriarchal and homophobic mind. Queer people are run by sex, not ideas. Queer people are abnormal. Feminists hate men. Feminists want female supremacy. But these black feminists, obviously, like me, a man. They were as ideologically as they were sexual, and they were normal. They did not speak of women ruling men. They spoke of gender and queer equity and the freedom and mutuality and complementariness of power. Their jokes and attacks knew no gender or sexuality. If anything, they were harder on women. They were harder on queer people like Raina. They saw through her long before Wekia and I did. No one seemed to incite them more than patriarchal women. Really, patriarchal white women, standing behind racist white patriarchs. I can only imagine what they thought years later, watching Kayla Moore defend her husband, Alabama's U.S. Senate candidate Roy Moore, who had been accused of pedophilia and sexual assaults, who was asked on the campaign trail in 2017 when America was last great. I think it was last great at the time when families were united, even though we had slavery, he said. Our families were strong and our country had direction. This was long before we had so many women publicly attacking the women saying Me Too. Patriarchal women as a term made no sense to me back then. Like the term homophobic, homosexuals. Only men can be patriarchal, sexist. Only heterosexuals can be homophobic. The radical black queer feminism of these two women detached homophobia from heterosexual, detached sexist from men, and feminist from women in the way I later detached racist from white people and anti-racist from black folk. They had a problem with homophobia, not with heterosexuals. They had a problem with patriarchy, not with men. And this is what I continue to say all the fucking time. Okay, I'll get there. Give me a minute. Crucially, they're going after all homophobes, no matter their sexual identity, showed me that homophobic ideas and policies and power were the fundamental problem. Crucially, they're going after patriarchs, no matter gender identity, showed me that patriarchal ideas and policies and power was the fundamental problem there. They talked of queer people defending homophobia as powerfully as they talked about heterosexuals building a world for queer love. They talked of women defending sexism as powerfully as men building a feminist world. Maybe they had me in mind. because they opened that feminist world to me where queer love is wedded to heterosexual love in harmony. But this world scared me like they scared me. Opened by them, I learnt through and eventually and eventually I wanted to help them create that new world, and I am forever grateful to the Black graduate student discourse that was ruled by queer Black feminists instead of patriarchal Black male homophobes. They were my first role models of Black feminism, of queer anti-racism, of anti-racist feminism. They met my homophobic patriarchy and forced me to look at him, to meet him too. They forced me to check his ass, as desperate as I was to stay out of their way, a desperation that transformed into a curiosity about Black feminism and queer theory itself, a curiosity that transformed into a desire to be a gender anti-racist, to be a queer anti-racist, and not to fail Black people. All Black people. And that is the chapter. I think I'm going to carry on into the next one. Give me a few minutes though. Let me see how long chapter 16 is. No, it's not that long. So, how is everyone? I hope everybody is doing well. I am going to bring up Haya. Everybody, you know the drill. People from Gaza. Haya is from Gaza, and we all know what day it is today. So please, if you can, drop some coins. Every, I don't know how many 100 likes on Haya's box translates to a coin. So even if you don't have any coins, you can tappity-tap Haya's box. And thank you so much, Say. That is absolutely appreciated. And honestly, I always say that if your feminism does not include trans people, it is not feminism. If your feminism is homophobic, it is not feminism. If your solidarity with people is conditional on them being like you, it is not true solidarity. If that solidarity is so hinged on them meeting your standards of humanity, it is not true solidarity. And so when there was a white woman on a panel a couple of weeks ago, and she said, I've also noticed, this white woman saying, I noticed that Black men are really awful to Black women, and I was the only non-white woman on the panel. And I said, nope, we are not doing that. We are absolutely the fuck not doing that. And she doubled down and tripled down. And I was like, but I'm speaking for women. Like, firstly, you don't get to speak for women. And secondly, you do not get to critique Black men when white women are the main cause of Black men. White women are the main cause of Black men being lynched. She did not get it. And then in the comments, she said something like, oh, this is why nobody wants to listen to y'all. As soon as she said, that's why nobody wants to listen to y'all, I'm just like, and there it is. The absolute conditional solidarity, the conditional nature of being part of a movement is that she can say what she wants. All right, Haya, I'm going to drop you down. I'm going to bring the next person up, okay? Salam, Habibti. Okay. Same story. I can't remember her name. I blocked her. The whole idea that it's a difference of opinion, or like I am doing this for this group of people and this group of people only. It's an idea entrenched in white supremacy, in homophobia, well, queerphobia in general. Thank you so much, Sese. It is rooted in the idea that only some lives matter. And those are the people who say all lives matter. As if. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Louis. Oh, you're going to sleep? Okay.
You don't need tea, you've got that.
I don't need tea. You can take that down.
Where's your basket?
What basket?
Your cord basket.
It's already set up. My plug is a little bit long. But it's much neater.
Are you going to keep it?
Or you can use it on your side. Because your side is a mess.
You're a mess.
Your face is a mess.
It is true.
I'm going to Bible heaven now. I love that. Okay, so this comment, this wins. This is my charity, and charity is virtuous. I am going to Bible heaven now. That is absolutely one of my favorite things. All right, Ayosh, I'm going to drop you down and bring up the next person. Salam, Habibi. All right, you know the drill. We have a little bit. I think I'm going to read the whole chapter today, actually, because I am. Yeah, we're going to leave it at this chapter, because the next two chapters go quite nicely together: failure and success, and survival. Those are chapters that need to be kind of read together. And those are the last three chapters, and I actually want to do them all next week, all together. So it's going to be a bit of a longer reading next week, but I've also got papers to grade. That's a lot of fun. The same students who, one of them said the IMF and the World Bank were created to relieve South Africa of her debt. Yeah. So what do you think? With the ideas that he is putting forward, I will, Khadija. Okay, I am going to mute you all in the chat because this is This is a lot. I am bringing people up. Okay. I am. Okay. Are you connecting? Um, yeah, what do you have in terms of like the thoughts for this chapter? Because honestly, the the way we engage with homophobia is always as an afterthought when it comes to liberation. Talk of liberation, the way we deal with queerness is always like, oh, those people, yeah, those people. They have Pride Month. Let them have Pride Month. If that, you know? And
Honey, please.
honey, it's there
Where did you put it?
on the top.
Go to the bottom.
It was on the top.
No, well,
I just put it back where I found it.
yeah, thanks.
Okay. I had some last night.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I got scared. Like, did Winnie the Pooh break into our house and steal the honey? Okay. We have way too many comments coming in that are. I know. A journal session is needed, yeah. Absolutely, a journal session is needed. Because in the thoughts that we have, about queerness, among them generally is, I don't get it if we're not queer. Or, like, I don't know what it's like to be trans. So, yeah. No, absolutely. I'm going to let up one more person. And that is Ahmed. And then I'm going to close this live out as soon as the discussion is done. Yeah, my brain is all over the place today. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. My confusion gives me an excuse. My lack of understanding gives me an excuse to yeah. It absolutely gives me an excuse to get away with not having solidarity. Yeah. All right. Yeah, today's not a good day. Today is absolutely not a good day. If you can. Yeah. For some odd reason, maybe the reasons we spoke about yesterday, the only people who are believable are the people who look like them. They will absolutely take Trump at his word. They will absolutely take people like Nigel Farage at his word. They will absolutely take people like all of these ridiculous ass leaders at their words. But they will not believe a trans person who says, I am being victimized at work, or I was attacked on the way home from a coffee shop yesterday, or this is my experience of how I live. That yes, I have a vagina and titties, but I am not a woman. They will never believe that because they are constantly made out to be other, and the other is apparently dangerous, and dangerous in this kind of world should be eradicated. And it starts with the immigrant. It always starts with the immigrant. And before you know it, Nina, please send me the name and the author on Discord. I will never remember, and I have no space for more screenshots on my phone. Oh, Foucault. Okay. Thank you. Starts at immigration. The gas chambers were not what happened first. It was a separation of us and them. Us and them. As concepts rather than people. We are the people and the them are concepts. And this is how we end up here. 2 years later. Having to be ruthless in our platforms on how we help people. And saying, hey, I can only let up one Palestinian at a time onto a panel, otherwise it becomes chaos. Where every person I ever met from Gaza is now dead. Every person I had met in person from Palestine, from Gaza, is now dead. And it feels pointless. So please, as you go around the app today, please do your best. Remember to drink water, take your meds, eat something if you can. And remember to be kind. Just be kind. Thank you for hanging out today. Thank you for all your support with our guests, and I know that they appreciate it too. Thank you.